that changed the game completely.
That I was the first black model to work as exclusive for the show.
You have to look in the mirror. This is your own competition.
I said, we need to teach these people how to do music.
I'm not so sure.
About what?
About the luxury and streetwear.
And at that time, you should be the king of
Hello.
that, okay?
Hi everyone, here we are for the new episode of The Bridge. We are going to share a moment today with the ex-AP CEO François-Henry Bennahmias, the top model Cindy Bruna, and my favorite Afrobeat artist, the one and only Davido. Seb, tell me what you think about it.
I think it's a great roster. Different place, but same energy. Let's share.
Come on guys, you know what time it is. The bridge is on.
So we would like to open this new episode with you, Cindy. We are glad that you're here. And we would like to know, how do you break free from parental or society expectation and pursue your dreams?
When I got the opportunity to start my career, it wasn't even a career yet, let's say, to come and try and to move from the south of France to Paris, my mom was just kind of trusting me. And she was like, okay, let's try a year. And if it doesn't work, you can still come back, go back to school and have your life. So it was more like, I trust you, you can go. And if it works, good for you. But she didn't expect anything crazy. The same for me, because I didn't dream. At that time, I wasn't dreaming at all. I was just...
It was just a hobby?
It was, yeah. First of all, I didn't even know it was a real job. I'm gonna start like that because so my agent scouted me in the south of France. I was 15 and she was like, you could become a model. I was like, okay, let's try. I came during my holidays in Paris. 2 years later, when I was 17, I met my stylist. They both believed in me so hard that I was like, oh, maybe I could, finish school at 18 and move to Paris and try. They were like, yeah, you can do it. And the fact that they believed in me kind of made me have this little spark of dream of like, oh, maybe I can do it. So that's really how it happened at the beginning. I wasn't expecting much. I was just trying to be a full-time model and see if I could actually make it work. I don't know, my background is so far from this industry and from being a model in fashion. So I had to learn everything. And I was like, yeah, let's see, maybe it could be good. But if it didn't work, in my mind, it was okay for me to go back to school. It was okay for me to have a normal life and be happy with it.
It's funny because I feel like you got two options when you're young. Either you want so bad to do it from the youngest age. For example, for me, at the age of, 5, 6, I already wanted to become a soccer player. You got another possibility, or maybe you do other stuff. You start to play soccer at 10, 12, 15. And once you see that you're good, you're like, okay, maybe I can make it happen and become a pro. But it's important to keep going at school because it's the easiest way to succeed in life in general.
What about you, David? School is an important thing in your life.
Mine was different from hers, man. I come from really strict background, educational-wise. I don't think anybody in my bloodline has been a musician, or entertainer.
Did you grow up in Africa?
Yeah, I grew up in Lagos. At first, grew up in Lagos with my family, big family. I grew up with all my cousins. We all lived together, all around the same area. My first thought of music was probably when I was probably 12. Because when I was young, my mom used to throw parties a lot. She would throw a party for anything: graduation, naming ceremony, birthdays. So just from liking, I just like to have fun. I was very hyper when I was little.
I like this mindset.
They don't give me sugar. When I was young, they can't give me sugar because I was running everywhere, but I like parties and just excitement. So I think from there, that's when like the entertainment drive. But with music, because I come from a family that you go to school, after you go to school, you go and work for my dad in the company, big company. That's how it goes.
That's the path.
Yeah, I was different. I'm the last child of my family. All my siblings went to school in London, in America. I was the only one that stayed in Nigeria with my parents. I have, I'm really, really cultured African-wise. But time went by, and then I had a cousin that was a musician, and he took me to the studio one day. And then I went to the studio with him.
First time?
First time ever. Like,
Ever?
Just opened the studio, like. And I watched them like make music. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Like, this is how they make it and stuff. And I kept on going back to that studio, like once in a while.
What kind of music?
Like African music.
Okay.
African? Did you have like kind of idol at this time?
Yes, D'banj, P-Square.
Okay, those guys.
P-Square. Yeah.
That time. So from then I just kept on going. But I never told my dad, because my mom passed when I was 11. So I grew up mainly with my dad, just me and my dad. So, but I never told my dad. I had a studio in the house. My dad didn't know.
In
Really?
your own house?
Yes, I had a studio in the house.
Not too loud for
Stop
him?
it. That's great. That's
He was
not
too
possible.
busy. Like he stays upstairs. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
You're sure it's a house? It's not the...
It means that you
was
had a
big.
big mansion.
Yeah,
it was
big.
You had a big mansion. Yeah, for
20-something
sure.
That was a
Like-
big house.
How much?
Like 20-something rooms. Like it was big.
Yeah,
Okay.
big mansion.
So, and I'm on like this floor. He's on like the top floor, and he goes straight to his room. Once he comes back from work, he's going in the elevator, and he's going straight to his room. So he never heard the studio. But when I finished high school, I moved to America for college.
Where?
I first moved to Tennessee, but when I moved to Tennessee, Collegedale, Tennessee, that's the first place I went to. But it was like a Christian, he moved me to like a Christian university. Like, I was like the only African in like the whole place. So I couldn't stay there because I was just not feeling it. So he moved me to Alabama,
Okay.
2 hours away. He didn't want me to stay in Atlanta. I was born in Atlanta. He didn't want me to stay in Atlanta because
Why?
he thought I'd be distracted. You know, Atlanta, the clubs, everything. So he went to Alabama. But he didn't know that's where the problem would start. Because the school I went to was very, very musically inclined. They had the best choir. They had the best music program. But obviously, he never let me join it. But then I had a lot of people that, did music there. So when I first got to the school, he dropped me off, went to the school. In the dorm, like where the students stay, upstairs in my room, I'm always hearing like boom, 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 like it's like music upstairs of my room. So I went upstairs one day and I knocked the door. I'm like, what's going on here? I'm always hearing music, like, is it a party or whatever? And the dude opened the door, he had a mini studio in the school.
It was for the student or?
No, just for him.
Okay.
So I was like, yo, like, teach me how much is for all of this? He said, 1,000. I'm like, shit, what's up? I took everything. And I was like, just teach me how to record myself.
That's
and
crazy.
then I'll find my way. So that's really, and this time I'm like 15, 16. But
What
that's
did you
really-
do on that studio?
That studio, I started producing.
Okay.
I went on YouTube, I taught myself. I was watching YouTube every day. Everything is on YouTube. So I was watching YouTube every day, and then I mastered recording myself. You know what I'm saying? So this is like this period, like I'm in school, but I'm like not in school, but my dad doesn't really know. And then back home, the artists are blowing up. So I'm like, man, I have to go back home. I don't have time. Like everybody's blowing, all my friends that I know from when I left, they're getting big, like blowing up. Like, I'm like, man, I gotta go back, bro. I wanna go back. I'm telling you, I have to go back. And then one day I just went back, and it was a long thing. That's another story. But I just decided to, I left school, then I moved back to Nigeria without my parents knowing. I just moved back. Like,
When you told at your father that you do music?
I didn't ask him. I moved back, and he heard.
You figured it out.
Okay.
So after a while, you know what I'm saying, like he heard that I came back, and then it was a whole thing. But then I just had to like fight. And I just kept on going. So I dropped a song. When I moved back, he got me.
He got you?
Yeah, the first time I moved. When I moved back to like really, really do the music, he got me and then like, sent me to school. Again, but this time in the village, not in Alabama.
No studio.
No studio. This is, no.
That's crazy.
He puts me, the owner of the head of the school, this is his door, this is my door. So every day when he's going to school.
It was a school or a prison?
Huh?
School or prison?
Same thing, basically. But from there, and then I started from there, I did a song. So, but the deal was, if I go to school in the village, he will build me a studio. So I go to school for 2 weeks in the village, straight 2 weeks, no phone, no internet, nothing. Then I come back for that weekend. Then I go back to school for 2 weeks. But he'll build me studio, he'll give me anything I need, he'll give me everything I need. So every 2 weeks, I'll go to I had the best studio in Lagos, but it was only open every 2 weeks. So every time I go every 2 weeks, all the artists will come because I had the best equipment. So that is where I was getting leverage because I had the best studio and I was letting people record for free. You know what I'm saying? So that's when I started meeting, I met D'banj, started meeting a lot of people. I met a lot of people then, Olamide, I started meeting people. So I did a song. So I was like, Dad, I've been in school for 4 months now. What's up, man? Like, you know what I'm saying? So he gave me some money. I shot a video. I dropped it. Back to school. So I don't have phone. I mean, I dropped the song. I've gone to school for like 3 weeks. I don't even know what's going on. Like, so my boy went to the city from school. He came back. He said, oh, I said, what?
Crazy.
He said, the song is going
Everywhere.
crazy. I'm like, are you sure? I was like, no,
Which one?
you're lying to
Which
me.
song?
Before Davido, it's back when, right before Davido. Yeah.
This is a good song.
I said, are you sure? Because I don't want to run away again and I'm hooked. Because my plan was like, man, if I blow up, I'm running away again. I'm not doing this. So I did that song. I kind of was going to shows. Then my dad was hearing that I'm going to shows. So that passed, we was fine for a while. But then when I did Davido, Emma Davido, it became the biggest song in Africa.
The first big one.
Yes, that was the first shake. So from
But
then,
François, I get a question for you because obviously you got children, right? So, sometimes, for example, as a young person, you have a purpose, a goal that you want to achieve, but sometimes you just don't share, the same goal than your parents. So how do you handle it? For example, sometimes you just want to quit. So tell me your perspective about it.
First of all, unlike Cindy, I was a very bad student in school. No, but I never liked actually the system, okay, on the way you were taught in school. And my mother was a teacher, and my dad had a very high level education.
Okay.
But they were never, oh, you got to be a doctor, you got to be this, or you got to be that. Never. So they never put pressure on us, with me and my younger brother. But I didn't like the system at all because we were forced into things. And the way you were taught, it's one way. The teacher was talking, you were supposed to listen to everything, take notes, and that's it. And I've always been, I'm sitting like already, I want to move. Yeah, I see Davido moving, I want to move the same way.
You can
in
move,
class,
it's not a problem.
But in class, it was impossible. So I was always very curious about many different things. I started a small business when I was 7 years old.
7?
I was living in a residence where there were 15 small buildings, 2 floors. And I found out, in my mind, people said, on weekends, nobody wants to wake up to go to the bakery store to get the croissant and the pain au chocolat and the bread.
Because they were lazy.
Yes, so I'm going to knock on every door on Friday night with my younger brother, because we are young, everybody's going to say yes, and to pre-order the croissant, the bread, everything for the entire residence.
Crazy.
That's smart.
Okay,
That's so
and
smart.
and we're gonna make money. Except that 7 and 5 years old, so we didn't have anything. So our dad had to drive us to buy the stuff, negotiate with a baker, okay, and make sure we would get paid. Now nobody would play with children, so it was working fine. We did this for 4 weekends, and then we had to stop because my brother didn't want to wake up anymore, and I couldn't. And I couldn't do this alone. There was no way I could do this alone. But that was my first idea of thinking out of the box, and I was 7 years old. So I was had in mind to be curious about everything in life. So when I went to the baccalaureate, I went through, failed completely, but completely, like no chance to go back in August to try again or say, get out of here, okay? And at that time, I wanted to be the #1 golfer in the world. I wanted to be world champion. I wanted to be Severiano Ballesteros. That was my idol. Well, yeah, when I was 13, I wanted to be #1 golfer in the world. And I started to play professionally. I was so bad at it. Again, another thing, so I say, no good.
But it was your main goal, to become professional?
Oh yes, and to be #1. Not just professional, be #1.
But you were so bad, how can you be #1?
But no, I couldn't be
didn't
#1.
know.
I had a dream.
Self-esteem.
Don't break his
That's
dream.
self-esteem.
Yeah,
that's another
self-esteem.
topic.
Believed in
Okay.
himself.
I had the
That's
dream.
great.
And eventually a friend of mine, which I know from the golf I was a member of, told me, you will never be #1. He told me, very blunt, you will never, ever be #1. So stop and come and work for me. I said, what do? He used to distribute fashion companies.
But I want to know your reaction, because it's hard. If you have a goal to
No, he was right. I knew.
But how did you handle it?
Yeah, you knew that.
I stopped in the middle of a competition.
Wow.
It's like, imagine you playing, and on the 65th minute, okay?
No, I don't want to imagine it.
You say, you know what? I'm done. And I left. And I didn't play for almost 30 years. I was so angry.
I have a question.
Oui.
What did you like the most? The challenge of the possibility of you becoming #1 or playing golf?
Both. But you have to understand where it comes from. Because I was a very bad student in school, my entire youth, I've heard, you'll never succeed. You're not good enough. You're nothing. You are the worst of the worst. And nothing good is going to happen to you. Even when I got the results of the baccalaureate, I remember because I did the exam in my own place, and all the other kids wanted to know if I had it, obviously. And when they saw that I failed, they said, hey, he lost it. And I still have that vision where I said, in my mind, I looked at these kids in front of the paper. There's no computers at this time, so everything was on paper, and say, one day, just one day,
I'm going to do it.
we'll see each other again. And we'll see.
I like that.
And did it happen?
I think. I found my own way to be the person I wanted to be in terms of competition.
To be the
#1. We cannot say #1 in business. It's impossible. But to be that driven that it would be my own Champions League, my own major. The fact that I say I want to do what's best, to be the best.
But it's important what you're saying, because I feel like it's important to figure it out, and especially to understand where is your own path.
Yeah, because I feel like it's about your purpose, right? Sometimes it's okay to have a door being shut because maybe it wasn't meant
To
for
bounce
you.
back.
But look where you are now. You know, you just have to find your way. You have to find your path, and you did.
Yeah, I have a question about that. What the biggest lesson you have learned from a failure? Because we learn when we fail.
When I went to New York the first time, I didn't speak English. I arrived and I was doing casting for Fashion Week. They told me I needed to go to New York because Paris was not an open market for me.
For black women?
For black women, yeah. So I came to Paris first for like few months, but every most of the castings I was doing was not working. So my agent, like the team I had, they were like, you need to go to New York. It's not gonna happen here. And I knew it was a thing. So when I went to New York for my first Fashion Week, I got the Calvin Klein exclusive for the show, which is an exclusive. It's like you can only work and walk for only one brand during Fashion Week. And it was Calvin Klein. And when I did that show, I didn't really realize it was such a big deal for a career. I was like, oh, that's great. They want me, great. And then the day after, we got in the press that I was the first black model to work as exclusive for the show. I was like mixed with emotions. I was like, first, they see me as a black model. I was the first thing, because I'm a mixed race woman, right?
In France and Europe, you're mixed, but in US, you're black.
Exactly. So I was like seen as a black model.
Yeah.
It works like that.
Yeah, that's like, I was like discovering that. And then I was like, I'm proud, thank you, but what? I'm the first one? Shocked. I was like, something is off in this industry. I feel like it was the beginning of me getting to see the flaws and, like what was wrong in the industry. And I think also I didn't really understand the weight of it, what it meant, for other models, for other Black models, for like the industry. And then I kind of this job kind of pushed me through the whole international scene of the industry, going to London, then Milan, then Paris, doing all the shows. But I was so naive at that time. I was kind of discovering even brands. I was like, who is Dior? What is brands? Anything. And it was because it was never a dream or something that I was not opening magazines back then. It was kind of crazy to go into this industry. And then few months later, maybe 1 month later, I finished my fashion week. They called what I was doing a career. I was like, a beginning of career, great, let's do this. And then I got a call from my agent telling me I had an exclusive with a photographer this time, which is Steven Meisel, the #1 photographer in the world. I didn't know him, obviously, same thing. I was like, okay, let's do this. So for 6 months, I could only shoot with one photographer, which was Steven Meisel. And I did the first cover of Italian Vogue, my first Prada campaign. Same thing, next day in the press, I'm the 3rd Black model to have done the Prada campaign after Naomi Campbell and Malaika Firth. I'm like, whoa, that's huge. Everything was mind-blowing for me. 1 month later, Victoria's Secret fashion show. But we can call this luck, we can call this a blessing, a push at the beginning. But after that, to be able to keep a career for 11 years, it's work.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that yet. It's not luck.
Yeah.
You cannot hold a career on beauty or luck, or you need to have so much more. And after I realized, because when you have it, you want to keep it, right? I do my first Victoria's Secret fashion show. I'm like, first casting, I'm never gonna get it. I arrive, I got bleached eyebrows because I was shooting the Prada campaign. It's literally at the same time. Blonde eyebrows, I look like an alien. I arrive at the casting. I have this idea of Victoria's Secret. Obviously, I know Victoria's Secret, but I'm like, they're beautiful. I don't see myself as beautiful. I'm like, there's no way. I don't speak English. I arrive in the casting, they ask me questions. I'm like, I don't even know what I'm saying. And my agent called me a few days later, you got the show. And the first response I say is are you sure it's me? Because I'm shocked. And after that, I'm like, okay, first year, great, I'm here. Second year, I'm like, I want to get it now. This time I want it. So I feel after, it's something switched in my mind. I was starting to dream. I was like, okay, I got it once, I want it again. And I got it for 6 years straight. But this was work. It was discipline, it was sacrifices, it was my team.
I feel like you changed the rules and you beat the odds a little bit, And back in the days, when I was 10, I used to listen to this guy.
10, man.
No, when I was 10, it's been a while.
You're old though, he's young.
And I want to say...
Did you just call him very old?
No, I'm not going to say that.
Like
No, don't get me wrong, I didn't say that.
Young, when I did all those songs, I was I'm 31.
I know, you're very young.
You're still young.
You're very young.
Yeah,
but okay,
I was
you're
a baby, when he...
Exactly.
When he was 10, I was like, this is Skelewood store, the Skelewood Davido time.
No, the first song that I listened to was back when.
I was 17.
Yeah, because it's funny, because when you look at this, I feel like the Afrobeat industry is way different now than it was when you started,
Of course.
And tell me more about it, because this Davido is different than the Davido
for sure.
10, 15 years ago.
You were here in this industry since few years?
A long time.
Yeah.
I mean, things change, you know what I'm saying? Just like when you were the first Black woman to, things change and people adjust. You know what I'm saying? I'd say the culture as a whole, African culture as a whole, has just grown. When I was in Alabama in school, it wasn't cool to be like, oh, you're from Nigeria, blah, blah. You
didn't care.
Obviously, when you have people, ambassadors from that country changing the narrative, not only music, with fashion, with film. There was a time Nigerian movies were watched all over Africa. You know what I'm saying? When I first got signed to an international label, which was Sony, in 2016. And this is when, like, you see, when we come and sign record deals overseas, they don't know that we're superstars back home. When I signed my first deal, I just came from Mali. I just did 60,000 people in the stadium in Mali. But then when you sign a new deal, they're asking you, so what's your name? So explain, what type of music do you do?
You have to prove again.
Bro, I looked at my manager, I said, I'm not starting again. Like, I just did 10 years, but then it takes time to understand that what was sacrificing now, what them P-Square and the Banj and them Two-Face sacrifice for us is what we're enjoying now. What we're sacrificing now, the next generation is going to come and be bigger, definitely, because the music is only going to grow, bigger. But I always told them, when I first got signed, they put me up with some producers to do an album, because, obviously, if you sign the deal, you've gotten paid, you need to deliver an album. This is not joke. This is Sony music. This is,
it's not the studio at your school.
You owe them. Yeah, you owe them. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to say names, but they put me with the best of producers. Bruh. And I was recording, trying, you know what I'm saying? But I was just like, man, this is not working out. So we dropped the EP at the time. And this is after I've had like 8 years of smash hits in Africa. Like, I'm doing stadiums, like, people are fainting, like, you understand? Like,
But only in Africa?
Yes. Oh, no, only in Africa, but not only in Africa, everywhere in the world.
Everywhere in the world. Worldwide.
It's not being seen. Like, it's Africans coming to the show, but it's not like being seen. Mm-hmm. When I was 22, I did 8,000 people in Paris. When I was 22 years old, this is how many years ago?
8,000.
Obviously, like, then they were not playing us on the radio, they're not putting it on TV. You can't see it. You know what I'm saying? There's no proof.
Because it's African music?
Because before the institutions like
it's just about
Sony,
culture.
now we have Live Nation. Live Nation is ticketed, is online tickets. They can look and say, okay, Davido sold 18,000 tickets in New York. He sold, but then they couldn't see it. You know what I'm saying? Now we have companies that are behind us. You know what I'm saying? So when I first came, they put me with some producers, but it didn't work out. We dropped the EP under Sony, my first project, failure. To me, to my standard. Some people might see it as success, but to my standard, that wasn't it. You know what I did? I packed my bags, because I was in Atlanta for like almost a year, and I went back home to Lagos. I went back to the hood, and I called all my producers. I said, we need to teach these people how to do music. Because they don't understand. They think, because in their head, we've given this guy millions of dollars, we need to make the kind of music we want him to make that's gonna work, so we get paid back.
Yeah.
I said, wait, let me go back home and come back.
So they didn't want your music, but
they didn't understand it.
Yeah, they wanted
didn't think it would work.
do music with you, not your music.
Yes. So I went back home and I got back to my original producers, the ones in the hood that I've never traveled before. Now all of them have traveled, they're big boys, but then went back to the hood, then went back to recording. When I came back to London, I said, take this, drop this, and you see what happens.
Which one? Aye?
If
I
tell you, say I love you.
François, do you know this song?
I said, try it.
I went, before I came here, I know his date of birth, how many kids, what he ate last night.
Everyone.
Okay, I've got the whole thing. Trust me, I went on YouTube to watch things here and there. What do you think? I'm going to show up here not ready?
But yeah, so the first thing I gave them, and that's coming straight from Africa. And when they dropped it, it blew up. So that only shows you that if we were given the opportunity 10 years ago,
it's just about opportunity.
It's just about opportunity and who you know. You know, there are gatekeepers in this thing. There are people that if they don't want you to get through the door, you're not getting through the door. But like what I said, they let us get through the door a little bit, and now we going crazy. You know what I'm saying? You can't go to any club in the world right now and you will not hear African music.
Yeah.
But it's just, at the end of the day, it's just about opportunity.
It's opportunity. You know what I'm saying?
For
God
example,
give me the opportunity.
I want to ask you a question. What gave you the opportunity, or how did you get the opportunity to become the AP CEO?
It's a good one.
That's
a good one.
Yeah.
So first of all, So I started to work with AP in 1994.
Okay.
And in 2008, there was a change of CEO. And there was a competition.
Not a golf competition.
Not a golf competition.
Not a competition.
No, there was a competition to see who would become the new CEO. So they were looking at outside candidates and inside candidates. And I went in the final and I failed. Then give me the job.
Another time.
Yeah. And at that time, I was very angry because in my mind, I should have gotten the job, especially because I was coming from within and they would take an outsider. But because I come from the world of sports, I say, I lost fair and square, so that's fine. I go back to the US. I was running the US market at the time. I say, you know what? Learn even more. And when they gave me the job in 2012, actually I was less aggressive towards getting the job. I say, they owe it to me. I was much more, if they give it to me, it's fine, but I know exactly what to do now. And actually, maybe, if I would have gotten the job in 2008, I could have failed. Because then it was not the same vibe. They owed it to me, and I wanted to perform, and maybe I would have done and taken wrong decisions.
Okay.
In 2012, 4 years later, only 4 years, made me look at it in a completely different way. True story, which I can share.
Maturity.
But hey, listen to this. Because I got scared when I got it, actually. I really got scared. Because now I was in charge of 1,200 people. I was in charge of 80 people in the US. Okay? So now you're in charge of people's livelihood and families. And on my third day, there was a big decision to make with a substantial amount of money involved. I had never, ever signed in my life a check of that level, ever. So I got the guys coming to me, say, boss, we need to make a decision. And I play poker face. Inside, I'm shaking like this. We say, sure, what do you want? So we should do this or we should do that. I say, what's the cost of this? Millions. What's the cost of that? Millions. You have to take the decision. Say, can I think about it? Say, no. He might say, okay, we do this. I knew, but I didn't know. I knew, but I didn't know. I went with my guts and say, that's what I feel, we go there.
Okay.
We talk about luck or whatever, fate, but that was the right decision to make. On my third day, it's like being a baby CEO. But eventually you grow into the position, and because I knew the company, 18 years in already, people knew me. So there was sort of kind of trust that we could build things together. And eventually, so what got me the job? I think it was simply written.
It was meant to be.
It was meant to be.
You were built for
I was running the number one country in the world, the US, at that time, okay, which I grew a lot. So I said, you know what, maybe it's good enough to do this on a worldwide basis. And that's how it started.
But you did a good job. Look, you are wearing APs now. No, did a good job.
Thank you, Davido. Thank you so very much. Really,
Why you say that?
Thank you so very much.
Because he's wearing...
Why? Because on all his videos, he's wearing another brand.
Which one?
Richard Mille. I can't say this. He wants me to say another watch company. It's Richard Mille, but hey, Richard is a friend of mine. So good.
Maybe because you didn't call him when we were working on.
That's
why.
That's
why.
I have a question about that because Davido just said to change the narrative, and I think you did, all of you. You made Jay-Z as an ambassador of AP. Why? Because I have another question about that. But
so that's special for me because you have to understand, I moved to the US in 1999.
Oh.
And I came and I met Jay the first time in 2001. And in 2001, obviously, Jay was not who he is today. He had two partners, Biggs and Damon Dash. And it was also the time where there was Aaliyah, the singer that could have had an outstanding career.
Yeah.
And
singer,
the first time,
actress.
Sure, the first time we met, Jay told me we're going to make a watch together. And I say, good luck with that. I don't see how I'm going to sell this to people in Switzerland. And eventually we were seeing each other on a regular basis in New York. And then in 2004, I flew to Switzerland with a picture of P. Diddy and William Lauder from Estée Lauder when they launched their fragrance deal.
Yeah.
And a picture of Jay-Z with Prince Charles for a special horse race in the UK with a proper outfit, the nice hat and the whole thing. And I say, guys, listen to me. Hip-hop is exactly what was jazz in the 20s. It started in the black community and eventually became mainstream. Hip hop is going to do exactly that. NJ is the right person to be with, and we should launch a watch together. And they said yes. And you have to understand, at that time, to actually have a luxury company to partner with someone of color, good luck. Good luck.
But why?
Because that's the way it was, period. But the point is not even that. We launched the watch, press conference, 9 a.m. in the morning in New York, and I told you the night before, if you show up late, I swear to you, you showed up at 8:45, perfect, 100 journalists in the room, TV stations. That changed the game completely. Because that opened complete new doors, because a lot of athletes were listening to music, you know, and they were listening to his music.
For sure.
And he was starting to talk about AP.
He's so big.
And in 2 seconds, AP became something different. And that was a huge milestone in the evolution of what Audemars Piguet is today. We made the Financial Times, first time in the history of the company. We made the Financial Times. They spoke about this relationship. And when I used to have people from the world of music coming to my office, I told them, you're here because of that. That opened the world. That's why you're here today. And people look at this and take pictures. Famous people get to the office, take the picture, say, look. So that's the story.
But it's cool because I feel like you opened a lot of doors, because when we look at fashion and stuff like that, it was not common back in the days to see like athletes wearing Louis V stuff or, you know, kind of stuff like that. When we look at fashion shows now, we can see like a new relation between streetwear and luxury. And I think it's a fucking good thing.
I'm not so sure.
About what?
About the luxury and streetwear.
Are you saying that I'm wrong?
No, I think I have
Tell me.
another point, because I think they didn't share the same values.
Okay.
So
back in the
sometimes-
days.
Yeah, no, even now.
Even now.
Sometimes, no offense, luxury brand just want to.
On the culture.
Yeah, and hip hop culture, it's not the same of luxury, and the street culture is not the same than luxury, and it's the same problem in sneakers. You know, you have really good brand like LV and everything, doing the same down shoe that Nike 30 years ago.
Okay.
So I think there's a lot of opportunism in that, and it was my other question. Do you think it's a good thing for the culture?
No, but let's put it this way. If you say this about now, maybe I could say, okay, potentially.
Sure, but back in the
In
days,
2005,
it was crazy.
being opportunistic? No, it was a major risk-taking move. It could have gone either way. Nobody knew at that time what it would do.
But were you afraid of failure?
Zero. Not.
Zero?
No, because it was too... It's funny because my parents raised me with no music.
No music?
Zero. They were listening to radio, but not music per se. So the sound system was the worst of the worst. I said, one day I'm going to make money, and I'm going to huge speakers, and I'm going to be so loud, it's going to be so perfect. That's what, because I've always loved music.
Okay.
And for whatever reason, which I don't know, I was always drawn to black music. So for me, my youth was Motown, and then the Al Jarreaus of the world, Earth, Wind & Fire, Kool and the Gang, all this, but it was black music. And for me, so when I discovered hip-hop, especially when I moved to, you have to understand, I spent hours and hours in studios with Jay, Damon, Biggs, Aliyah. I was
Davido?
with them.
How was it? Crazy.
Insane. And I felt that it was the right move to make.
Right, okay.
So for me, I was not guessing myself. It was much more, that's a normal path. And
By the
maybe
way,
because
the experience of the studio is crazy, guys.
I love it.
It's crazy. Every time you go there, like every time I go there, I want to be an artist. That's crazy.
No.
Why? No, that's different lifestyle,
No.
you know, but it's so good. Like
Can
the
we do a
vibe
shootout?
is different.
Can we do a shootout to something which I saw recently already 3 times? The last Netflix on the greatest night in pop
Yeah.
which is the
There's
birth.
Michael Jackson.
The birth, and Lionel Richie and Quincy Jones. The birth of We Are the World in
Yeah.
1985.
Oh, it's on Netflix?
Yes, that documentary.
I'm gonna watch it.
I cry. Every time I watch it, I cry.
Michael was the first person at the studios, right? Or something.
Yes,
I saw that part.
I
Really?
cry.
I totally agree with. At that time, it was not an opportunistic
No.
move
Because
And
it's easy to say it now.
It's what you love, because hip hop it was you loved at that time. But be honest, right now, do you think luxury and hip hop and street culture is genuine?
I won't answer yes or no because it's not a yes or no answer on this. What I can say is this. I started my career at Audemars Piguet wearing a three-piece suit and a tie. Okay? And I ended up my career with a hoodie. Okay? What I want to say is this. It's good news that these two worlds at some point met.
For the good reason.
Okay? Is it perfect all the time? No, but
it doesn't
nothing
have
is.
to.
But nothing is. But if at the end, what it did is actually open much more doors or gates than ever before, and I do believe that the mix of these worlds is always more beneficiary than staying in your own fields anyway. On the big picture, it's a win.
And do you think it's an opportunity for diversity and other person in other worlds that luxury to work in that industry or with that industry?
Listen, we can talk about this. We don't know each other. We're meeting for the first time. And he said, okay, well, so I was making fun at him because he was wearing Charmin in the videos and not AP. But he said, I've got AP. I said, fine, okay, good. He said, so why could I get AP? I said, the way, maybe instead of just asking to get APs, at one point, these luxury brands will come to Africa. They will, because they are not today.
It's not the case now.
No, they are not.
It's coming.
They will. And at that time,
They have to.
you
You're
should
gonna
be the
guy.
king of
Hello.
that. Okay?
You're
So
gonna be the guy.
we got to do a 50-50. Okay?
Yeah,
I know.
it's not opportunistic. It's really good thing.
I got one question. The tour for an artist. How do you handle pressure and the fact that you have to show up every single night? Because, for example, I don't know your last tour. You have over, I don't know, maybe 50 dates or something like that. And when you have a stretch of like 4 shows in 4 days, you do one day Paris, the next day London, the other day Amsterdam. You can be tired after your first 2 shows.
Very.
But fans from Amsterdam, they don't care about what you did 2
Yeah,
days
no,
ago,
of course.
and you still have to show up.
Of course.
How do you handle it?
I mean, I feel like, well, with me, like, once I enter the stage, like, it just becomes a different person to me once I get in.
A
Once
new
I
guy.
enter there and I'm seeing them shouting, going crazy.
It's like adrenaline.
Different.
So, like, even every time, so many times I'm tired, you know what I'm saying, I'm exhausted, like, I don't even care if you're flying private, you're still gonna be tired. Like, you're still in the air, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Because
no
we
matter-
have to say it happened.
Yeah, they had to go. But, you know, most times, you know, when I was younger, it's easier now because I pace
When I
myself.
was young.
31 years old, when I was younger. Really?
Okay, when I was young, when I was that age.
That's not against you. You
It's
young.
nothing personal.
Still young.
Nothing personal.
Yeah, you have to add his age, her age, and then you get mine.
like these days, because of, you know, when I was younger, I'm performing for what, how long? 45 minutes. Right now, my show is almost 3 hours.
Wow.
So I can't do the same things I was doing 5 years ago. Because me, I love party. Like, back home, I'm going out every night. Like, we going to eat. We lit every day. We going to day party. We doing all of that. Like,
Party
I
for
like,
everything.
I like, you saw
Like
last week we're together. So I like party. So, but it got to a point where I realized, like, I can't be doing these shows and going to party, doing these shows,
impossible.
going to party every night. Like, I'll be throwing up backstage. And my managers are like, you see, you have to slow down. Like, you're not young anymore. You know what I'm saying? You're 31. You know, so with these days, I kind of space it out. Even if it's good money, some nights I'll be like, I think we have 5 shows back to back. Let's just take 2 after parties. You know what I'm saying? So the rest of the shows, it's a 3-hour show, and it's so much more we're doing. Like, My last show, I'm using like, it's 3 stages. So I come out on one stage, I come out from the top, I start and I do stage
Showtime.
A. After I do stage A, I run, pa, 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 and it's a big arenas, 20,000 people. Run, bah, come out, do stage B. All this time I'm changing clothes, getting clean. And you still have to remember the routine. You still have to, you have this thing you're hearing in ears. So one ear is like music, one ear is they're telling you like, yo, blah, blah, blah. We changing this song to this song. Yo, we got 45 minutes left. So it's like, you can't do all that drunk or high. So obviously like.
Because you get the same type of pressure before, I don't know, the fashion weeks, stuff like
Every
that.
fashion show.
Really
Every
intense.
fashion shows.
Shooting.
Yeah.
Especially because you still have to be pretty. That's a fact.
Trying, but yeah, it's really intense. Especially right now, we go from shows to events to parties that are actually
after
work.
Parties.
But they actually work. Like sometimes you're actually invited by brands to do an event somewhere, but you work the whole day. So it's kind of like you have to keep it up during the day and then during the night. So it's I'll say a hard balance to keep to stay healthy. And especially during Fashion Week, like I know that most of Fashion Week, like you end up getting sick because at some point
Really?
your whole body
What if
kind
you
of
say you don't
shut
want to party?
down.
Can you say, I'm tired?
It depends. If it's a party that is
If you
not a
paid or
brand,
not.
but most of the brands now they do parties. Like you see brands like doing events. You can call it an event or a party, but it's like it's work. You actually have to show up. You call your glam to get you ready. Your stylist is getting you a look. Like you're actually getting into
it's your work.
So usually it's part of the job, So you just have to keep that balance again and try to be healthy as much as possible and keep it up. But your body shuts down sometimes, yes.
Yeah.
And what's the most difficult part of your job?
So for me, at the beginning of my career, I was younger.
Again,
You're young.
another shot.
I'm gonna slap these people. I'm gonna slap them.
You're
Hard.
younger, and you go into castings, okay? And you have to be chosen, right? You have to be liked.
So it's competition.
You can call it competition. It depends how you
is.
see things. Yeah, but for me, I kind of changed that because it wasn't working for me. It's like you go into that place and you want to be. It's like if you want to be good enough. So I had to change that mentality because I don't want to compete with my friends that is sitting next to me. We're different. If they choose you, good. If they choose me. But at the beginning of my career, I was kind of feeling like, okay, I didn't get the job. Who got my job? But it was never mine. You have to kind of like dissociate yourself and be like, if it's yours, it's going to be you.
Yeah, if you
You're
didn't
good
get the
enough.
contract.
You're beautiful enough. Everybody in the room is beautiful.
But
And
it's
they're
hard
going to
to keep
pick
the
the person they're
confidence.
looking for. And to keep that confidence,
It's
I think, is
hard,
the hardest.
especially at this
because you
age.
can be, like, you kind of judge on how you look from the outside. You have 2 seconds in the room to actually show your book. But at the end, they cannot judge you for anything else that how you looked. So it's kind of hard to keep telling yourself that you're good enough, that you're beautiful enough, and that's okay. And if you're not chosen, it's just they were looking for another profile. I'm me. Nobody can be me. If you're looking for me, I'm right here. If you're looking for someone else, I cannot change. But when you start that job, sometimes you kind of feel like, oh, maybe I should have cut my hair, or I should have done this, or I should have, like, be more like her.
And
No.
it's about
keep being you.
perception.
Do you. If they want you, they're going to come and get you. So it's hard to find that balance, and I feel like my team really helped with that. Like my agent, Dominique Savry, and my stylist, Michael Carpin, they're really part of my team, and they kind of helped me also like build my confidence up and be like, it's good, like you're good. Even if you don't get that job, even if that door closed, you just have to not give up on you and your team and your work.
But
It's really
hard.
interesting because I have a question for
Yeah.
you. You are part of a team, but your teammates are also sometimes you have a partner who is playing at your
Position.
So how do you manage to have the good energy, the good mindset, and the good relationship
concurrence?
with them? Yeah.
No, it's different because when I look at your job, for example, it's more about other people's perception. It's not about
Clearly,
you.
yeah.
But as an athlete, it's about what
Your
you're gonna do on the
Performance.
Yeah,
pitch.
that's
It's gonna
performance.
be about the
there's no
performance.
look.
Yeah.
You know, and it's about you.
Sure.
And for me, like there is concurrence in sport, There is concurrence in modeling, there is concurrence in watch industry, in music industry, just about trying to be the best version of yourself.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
But the difference is that you are all in the team. It's not individual. So I think it's...
But at the end of the day, it's a mix of individuals. I feel like if during a game, all the players can reach their best, at the end of the day, if we play against a better team, what can we say? You know what I'm saying? It's just about being the best version of yourself. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I feel like we have to kind of kill that competition mindset.
But it's important also.
I got it because you guys are... I got it because...
You have to find the balance.
No, it's important.
I feel I got it, but I feel like if you kind of like...
Shut down a little bit.
It's not about this. If you compete with yourself, you have to keep... there is no end to it. Like you're always going to have to improve, right?
My mental coach told me one time, like, you have to look in the mirror. This is your own competition.
That's what, exactly.
It's just about you. Because as I said...
Already heard that in a movie.
Yeah? Yeah. That's possible.
But it's so true, though. It's really true. It sounds like...
And you are
a little bit, but that's right.
It's
you are your
fact.
worst enemies. So
also, yes.
So
yeah.
That's
Don't
true.
you agree, my dear?
Not exactly.
No.
Because as much as you want this, and I respect that, but also competition outside, whether it's outside in your own team or outside from another team
Drives you
or another brand or another model or whatever,
Or industry.
pushes you to the best of you, no matter what. And if you have zero competition, eventually, slowly but surely, you would start to go down.
Yeah.
Because you learn from the competition. And you're going to see things from the competition that will say, okay, this I don't, this, oh, wow, they do this. Now I've got another idea. And you need to learn from all those type of things because this is very subtle.
That's true.
So it's not a...
That's right.
It's not a one size fits all where it's only one way of looking at it, but when you're successful in life, competition is extremely key. You
Learn
want
from the
competition.
but keep the emotions out of it, maybe.
Your emotions?
No, like learn from the competition. Be like, "Ooh, that person did better than me. What can I do to do better?"
That's
keep
true.
the emotions. Don't hate the person.
Yeah, sure.
Like
Exactly.
Yeah.
People, if you're a midfielder.
Sometimes.
No.
But I feel like you kind of look up to people that you can admire their path, but at the end you still have your own. Yeah. You're not taking something out from them.
You think so?
But sometimes Sometimes you have to take it from them to have your own.
Of course.
I don't like it. I just
Create-
don't like
no,
it.
to create your own thing. In our sport, it can happen. For example, if you look at another player in your position, he's maybe better than you in passing. You're going to be like, okay, if I want to be a better player, maybe I'm not going to be able to reach his level. But if I can improve a little bit, I'm going to be a better player.
Yeah, but it's still about you then.
It's always about you, but you have to look at other people's too.
But I want to say something. You mentioned something which I don't agree with at all because she said
all?
earlier, at all.
What
You've
is
got to see
it?
where I'm going with this. She said earlier that, okay, she's beautiful, but everybody is beautiful.
That's not what I said.
And to this, I'm going to make a real statement because we obviously know each other. And I said, no, Cindy, some others are not beautiful the way you are because since we've met the first time, you have to understand this wonderful lady
I was a baby.
is as beautiful inside as she is outside. And that makes a huge difference because since I've met her the first time, she hasn't changed one bit. And she's you see what she wants? I want to compete. She wants to be nice with everyone.
Kind, cool.
She's very loving as a person. But that makes me respect you even more.
But don't you think sometimes
Thank
you have to be a little bit...
Feisty? Sure. Sure.
But you can keep your heart. And
Always.
It's about your value.
Yeah, it's important.
But there was something else.
Even in business.
But there was something else which was mentioned in different ways since we started, which is also extremely important for people to understand. She started with her agent, stylist, management, started friends, his own producers, everything. You never, ever succeed
Alone.
Never.
Never. Yeah. You could be as talented as you are, you could be as hardworking as you are, you don't reach high levels without people around you.
Yeah, sure.
Ever.
Even if it's an individual thing.
Completely.
Completely, yeah.
Because I got one question. Do you look at, for example, top charts?
Do I look at it?
Yeah.
Of course.
And do you look at it for recognition or just to be like, okay, let's see where I'm at? Because how do you get it?
Just
Because
look
that's
at
the
it.
question. If you're second, what's going to be...
I'm first, so I can't give you the
Okay.
No, but I know how I feel. No, but listen, I know how it feels.
No,
to
that's
be,
a fact.
I know how it feels to be number one,
Number
and
two.
come down and go back and come down and go back. But that's the fun of it, because you lose it, you're like, I'll go back to get it. And it happens like I've had that situation like 3 times in my career. You know what I'm saying? So yes, I look at the charts like I want to be number one. Like,
Are you scared sometimes that you could at some point go down
Yes.
a little bit and not ever coming back?
yes.
Yeah.
Do you know?
You have that feeling.
I tell people this all the time. I've been with, I don't want to mention names, people that I idolized. Like
Back
I
in
used
the
to be
days.
crazy about them. Like I used to shake like when I see them.
And you're better than them now.
So one day we went somewhere,
Okay.
and when I was like like people going crazy like Davido. And they're not even looking at
Them anymore.
like back in their own time, they were the me. So I always say to myself, and I tell my friends, the day I notice that something is shaking somewhere, it was a good run.
Thanks for
I
everything.
enjoyed my, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to force it.
It's funny to talk about retirement because in our team,
Retirement. Here we go again. 31 years old. Not
no,
even.
but because it's important to think about it because as an athlete, as a top model or whatever you do at one time, one moment, it's gonna be finished, you know. And in my team, we got Toni Kroos, one of the best midfielder ever, and is playing such a high level this season. And it just has a 1-year contract. So after each season, he can decide if he wants to stop or not. But as I said, he's so good. And when you talk to him now, he's like, maybe I can stop at the end of this season. Why? Because I want to finish at the top. And that's hard to understand, but at the end of the day, I feel like he was also right. Because being a Davido, for example, and stop when you are here for
And
your
the sad
ego
thing
is
that
different.
people remember what happened last.
Exactly.
Yeah, not your
Exactly.
entire career.
Exactly.
Even me, I was watching like something the other day, and I was like, "Wait, we did all this? Like, even you or yourself, you'd be forgetting. Like,
For sure.
More.
But even you, for example, because you stopped at the top.
Yeah, but I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
It doesn't feel like it's stopped.
No.
It's like life is long. Like even if you
No, it
jump
decided
from
to
one
stop
project
this-
to another one, I feel like
It's opening a new chapter.
It's another chapter.
Yeah,
it's
but
like
at the
other
end
goals.
of the day,
How do
Listen,
you
there
feel?
was
That's a
my
fact.
biggest lesson, and it took me a long time to understand why I failed in school, I failed in golf, and I succeeded in business. It took me 59 years to understand. It's a big CEO of a huge French company, who is number 1 in the world in their category, who told me one day, a business is a mountain without a summit, okay? In sports,
You're keeping
yes,
time.
at some point, you cannot play anymore at the highest possible level because your body will actually be
Can't
too
anymore.
old to keep going and to keep the momentum. At some point, less and less now in your field, okay, you could go further, but at some point, yes, it's gonna stop. In business, it lives even after you're gone. After you're gone, the business still exists, or it's another business, so it never stops. And when I finally understood, I say, I got it now. Every time I was exposed to an absolute deadline, failure. Every time there was no risk because it never stops. Basically, you can still play the game of business. Sky is the limit. And the second you start to think in your mind that sky is the limit, then there is no risk per se. There is no limits anymore. It's a free ride. And you can just go and go and go because even if you fail, and you will fail
You still can bounce
through your
back.
career, you don't die. You don't die. You always come back. And that was the biggest lesson.
Do you think you always come back?
Absolutely.
If you want to,
You
if you keep
will,
going.
Sure.
Some people don't.
I'm
Sure.
not that sure.
Some people don't.
I'm not that
Yeah.
sure.
But that depends
everyone.
if they
Business,
give up.
you mean?
If they
no,
give up.
in life in general.
No. Wait. Different story.
You're talking about business.
Different story. I talk about business.
Business.
Even if you change from one company to the other, the business itself,
Oh, remain
Not
the
you,
same.
goes.
but business, yeah.
it goes. So the reason why I decided to leave was because, first of all, when you reach almost 60 years old, you have to pay attention. You'll have so many more years ahead of you in great shape. And I said, I've got so many other things I want to do with my life. And I've learned so much from the incredible experience at AP that now it's my turn to reinterpret this, like creating a new sound almost, and say, now I know exactly what I want to do for me and the people which I love the most. You're next with me, by the way. Just
So
so you know.
did you figure out
go. It's
like a
what are you
journey,
going to
I
say?
like that.
Do you know what are you going to do now?
Absolutely.
But you don't want to share.
No.
Even on the bridge?
No.
He gonna,
Selfish.
he gonna tell me and I'm gonna tell you.
I know.
That's not being a brother.
We are here to share, so.
Yeah, but no.
No.
She knows. Actually, she knows.
Yeah.
Really?
That's why I was saying that it's just it's still a beginning. It's not the end. Like it's the end of something, obviously, but
It's
it's
the end
like
of the
a
chapter,
beginning of
but
something else,
it's
which
not the-
that is incredible.
It's not the end of the book.
Exactly.
And I have a question, Davido. Right now, the music changed also with social media.
Yeah.
Is it important for you?
Oh, definitely. Now, if you want to drop a song,
You have to show
you
off
have
a
to
little
know,
bit.
okay, what are we doing for TikTok? Are we doing a challenge? It's just,
Trend and
you're a businessman. So if you come into my world, you're talking about numbers.
Numbers don't lie.
Yeah, if we didn't have the dance floor unavailable, it wouldn't have been as big.
You
know
think
what I'm
so?
saying? And that's the truth. The dance made it bigger.
Even
That's
in our
life.
dressing room, every time we listen to this song,
You know what I'm
we're
saying?
like,
So now there's so many aspects. We gotta, before all you gotta do is mix and master, send it to the label, send it to radio.
That's it.
That's it. Now there's like 10 apps. There's Twitter, there's TikTok, there's Trilla, Facebook, Instagram, there's YouTube Shorts.
yeah, a lot of things.
But wait. You are really saying that it's not even the music anymore?
No, it's the music, but like
Come on.
promotion.
It's not enough,
promotion.
maybe.
Yes.
sometimes just a part of music, not the entire music going viral.
Yes, sometimes it's just like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Right now it's crazy.
That's crazy.
Somebody would just sing for the first time in their life and have the biggest song in the world right now.
Yeah.
If it's just 5 seconds on TikTok, something funny, something just crazy. It just goes.
Music changed. Is it important in modeling, social
Hell
media,
yeah.
or?
Of course.
Oh yeah.
Hell
Yeah?
yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
So first of all, it kind of like opened the voices for the model of being someone and not just an image
Yeah.
that we see on magazines. So now we actually can talk to a public and to an audience. And
That's my
then
point.
obviously it's selling. So when your platform is big, whatever how big, but you can sell,
It helps you.
it helps. Because that's my job. My job is actually to sell a product. I feel like I'm blessed with like a very nice community and I really feel the support from the people that follows me.
What you want to share with your community? Except the
Most
modeling
of it is
thing.
work, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But I think stories kind of help us show more, like families, moments, like it's going to disappear, so you don't really pay too much attention. You're showing a little bit more of your life, of who you are, what you fight for, like the charity you support, like that's what I like to
Your book,
actually
you did a
share. My
book.
book, being able to share with my community my story, my childhood was like very special for me.
Okay. What was the most important to share in your book and social media about your book?
About my book. For years, I was unable to talk about my story. It took me years to actually call it, have a name, like a title kind of, and be like, okay, we were a victim of domestic abuse. Like having that made a whole difference. So when I started even in my modeling career, I didn't really had worked on my past to actually heal or to be able to even talk about it. So I was like in the silence. We had the taboo in my family, and that's how it was. Then I started my life. I was growing up. I felt strong. I went to New York. I was a woman, right? And one day I went back to the south of France, and I met that man that was my stepfather in a restaurant. And the little kid came back. I was like, afraid, scared. Like the whole feeling came back. I was like, whoa. That's, for me, it was like, how? Like I forgot. It's like if I forgot about it, but it was still here inside. Yeah. And I was like, how? I'm like a grown-up woman. I live in New York and I go reach my dream and I'm here just like a kid being scared again. So something clicked in my head and I was like, let me do something. So the something came with, let me find a charity that I can support around that topic. So I found a charity in France that is named Solidarité Femmes. They have the national number, 3919, and I met with them. I was like, I wasn't talking about my story at all, but I was like, I have a platform, I have an Instagram, maybe I can talk about your charity, let me do something. It was really like I want to help, I don't know how, but maybe I can talk about it and bring awareness to that topic. And it really started like this, and then I met with them. I met with the people that received the calls from the victims, and I asked them a million questions. I was thirsty of like getting to understand the topic. Even though I went through it, it's like if I didn't understand. I didn't have the reason. I didn't have a why, a what. And getting to meet professionals and people that experienced it, even like victims and survivors, I kind of connected with my story. I was like, whoa, that's exactly how it happened. Oh, that's called verbal abuse. That's called psychological abuse. Like that have a name. And slowly, kind of, it was like my healing process. Until a moment that I was like, it was crazy because it was during COVID and I was with my mom and my sister. We went back to living together, something that never happened since we left the abuse. So even before, when we were still in the toxic environment, I was with my mom and my sister. We never talked about it. And one day I opened up the subject and I'm like, yo, it's crazy what we went through, right? It's just like
just randomly.
Yeah, randomly, like, by the way, it's kind of fucked up. And then we kind of like, we laughed about it even, like we kind of like starting to have that little conversation during COVID. And it was like, yeah, we kind of, I don't know, it was like really random and uncomfortable, but we started talking about it.
It was important
and
to start.
It was important to have that moment. And then, I don't know what went in through my mind and I was like, Mom, would you like to write your story? That's how it happened. I was like, do you want to talk about it? Maybe we can do something. You have so much to share. People need to hear it. We can bring awareness. We can talk about it. There's so much to do. And she was okay. She was like, yeah, sure. I think she didn't really understand what it meant. She was like, yeah, sure. But she said yes. And a few months after COVID, few months after the first confinement, I called her and I was like, so you still down to it? Like, let's do this. I'm gonna ask you a few questions that I found online on how to write your autobiography. It was like really random. And I gave her those 3 questions that just simple, like, are you ready to talk about it? Who do you want to address your book? Like, simple question. I call her at nighttime and she's like crying, like super in bad shape. I'm like, whoa, that's not what I wanted. Like, I thought it was okay, but maybe not. Emotional. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do it myself. Because I feel like I didn't want to put on her the weight of it. Sure, I didn't want to have that responsibility, but I felt like I could hold it onto my shoulders.
Was able to share.
Yeah, I was like, so I'm going to do it myself. And I did it, and it was hard. It was difficult. But I was well surrounded and I had so much, the feedback kind of gave me the strength. When I was going down, I had someone telling me that it helped them or that what I was talking resonated with what they experienced every time I was going back up. And so it was just like this and like that. I think I'm right into my healing process still. Maybe not done yet, but I'm in it.
But it helps to share.
It did, yeah.
So
and I
powerful.
feel like hearing survivors talks about what they went through kind of like opened my own mouth, like, you know, like kind of gave me the strength to talk myself. And I feel like that's what I want to do. I want to talk. So you were able to talk and you're able to talk. And even some of my friends that were really close, we never talked about this before. And after I wrote my book, they came to me and they explained to me everything that they went through that was very similar of what I went through. Yeah. And so I know it helps. The more we talk, there's this energy just goes around and just...
Even when I was reading your book, because I faced off some domestic abuse with my stepfather. I never talked about that. But I was really emotional when I was reading, because I was like, it's what I lived. It was that. So I think it's really important to have a voice to share that with a lot of people.
Yeah. Hopefully it can help, and bring awareness is so important, because the domestic abuse, when we see it from the outside, it feels like it just happens straight like this, like, right? And you have so much thought about it. But the truth is that when love gets in the middle and it goes slowly, you don't even see it. Yeah. That's the crazy part.
And even at 40,
you
can realize at that time that it was not okay. You're not cool.
You normalize what is happening, you justify it, and then you're actually not realizing that you're a victim. Like my mom, it took us so long to actually realize that this is not okay. We are a victim of domestic abuse. It took us years. And that's the crazy part, because it goes, it comes, and you normalize it, and then you're like, it's not so bad. Like, you kind of like pretty insane how you think.
In other families, if it's the same thing or not, you can't realize when you are into. I think it's the most difficult part is to realize that it's not okay.
Yeah, completely, and get help. I think we need to go and get the help. Because sometimes it's really hard to live by yourself.
So that was really important to share that, and thank you for...
Congrats, because that's so powerful.
Thank you. On that note,
No, but I think it was important to talk about it.
Sure, it's important to share, and even the people who are watching, maybe it can help them, so we have to share.
That's the goal.
Everything is not perfect in our life and in the life of people who succeed. Nothing is perfect, right?
When I will write a book,
yes, we
because
need
I will
one.
write a book at some
You'll
point.
write a book too?
Sure, I will.
About your life?
About
whole journey?
life and in general, but there will be a chapter dedicated to the dark side of success.
Oh.
What is the dark side of success?
From Star Wars?
No.
But first of all, how do you evaluate success?
You feel it. Success is not about a number that you see on a spreadsheet. Success is something that it could, but that's nothing.
It's
But
different.
Success
maybe not for you.
Yeah, it's different from...
It's based on how do you bring people together, how do you improve people's lives, potentially also through the course of your career, how people react to what you decide every single day to make the company look different. But eventually, first of all, and everybody knows that, when you're at a very high level, you're alone. You can say it in any way, shape, or form, but you are alone at some point. That's one. And the second thing is, and I'm going to give you a perfect analogy to who you are and where you are today in football. When you reach a success level, which is important, like we did at AP, and you got a lot of new people joining, it's like, imagine that you join Real Madrid, you haven't played one game yet, okay? But you already behave like you won 14 Champions League.
Oh, that's a fact.
Okay? And if you behave like this, when you haven't even put the jersey on, or even score one goal or whatever, you're wrong. And you see many people like this, when they join companies, they don't embrace the culture. They do not actually take the time to learn from the people who have been already there, that brought the business to where it is until now. And you want to tell those people, guys, you have to prove yourself. You have to understand, you join a major
As a
name.
Real Madrid player, you have to embrace the institution.
Exactly.
That's different.
Yeah, but same thing in business.
That's different, you know. You didn't win like the 14th Champions League, but you have to embrace the institution, the way you behave, the way you talk to people.
But you cannot act like you've won the Champions Leagues.
You're right.
Okay, and in business, you start to see those people and say, but wait, you haven't done anything yet. So calm down, one. And the second thing is, you start to see things from within. People want a part of the sun. And sometimes people don't react to success the way we should react to success. Because success, what is it exactly? You know, a personal story. We reach at some point a certain level in the company. And we could have said that was a milestone. We could have said, oh, that's perfect. We could have said that's a victory. That's our Champions League. It was one of the saddest times of my life.
Really?
Yeah. Because I was losing the vibe that took us there.
Yeah.
It was not the same feeling. It's like going in front of the keyboard or something and feeling empty when you knew that you produce outstanding songs and suddenly
What's next?
you say, but wait. And I've met a lot of major athletes in my career, and I will always remember LeBron James when I told him, when you celebrate a victory, like an NBA final, how long do you celebrate? And he said,
One night.
few hours,
Yeah.
but then the following day, you're back at it because you want to keep the momentum going. And it's always the same thing in any business, no matter what it is. The path is always much better.
Yeah.
Because
It's
even
about the
when you
journey.
reach, when you climb a mountain and you go to Mount Everest, you're at 8,000 meters. You think you're going to stay there for 4 hours? No, you're going to die. So you go there, cute,
take pictures.
nice pictures, out. But the whole path
The whole journey is the
interesting.
is what makes you that gives you the reward.
Yeah.
That's true.
And that's when the dark side comes, because you start to see people say, but wait, you haven't climbed anything yet. Wait, why are you acting this way? And the other thing is, do not ever forget where you come from and who you were. When you've built the momentum, in my case, one watch at a time, 1% at a time, we had to beg for people to buy our watches 20 years ago. Beg them. No one wanted them. When you were selling a watch a week, it was like, champagne. And suddenly the world wants you. Everybody wears your brand. Everybody says you're the best. People tell you, oh, I love you so much. They don't.
You think so?
They love, no, some of
They
it.
love-
I know you do,
Yeah, because I love you. You
okay? But you have that feeling of,
Know. Gotcha.
you don't even know what's real and what's not real anymore. It's gone. And you start to have doubts. What am I in for? The people because of me, or just because of what I can
That's a good
provide?
topic. I want to
And
know
then-
what you think about it, Davido, because obviously you're a big artist, and you know you
No,
have
huge.
You know, I was telling someone.
There is big,
And huge.
I told you, he's my favorite Afrobeat artist. So
I was telling
you can say
somebody
what you
the other
want.
day, because I have a friend very rich, and he's like single. You know, every time when I'm on the phone with my wife, he'll be looking like, he has everything in this world, but this is what is missing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I met my wife before I had money, like before. But I was saying to myself, if I didn't meet her, and like now I was single, and I met a girl, I already know, like,
It's not gonna be the same.
yeah, like, yeah, I'm cool, but you're talking to me because I'm Davido, and you know, I have money.
Everything
you know what I'm
comes
saying?
with it.
Yeah, so that's why, to me, my own success is when I'm doing something and I see everybody around me. All these people around me were there when I was nothing, and they see you now. That's the sweet thing to me, like, whether it's awards, whether it's concerts, whether it's when I bought my first Rolls Royce. Like, when I bought my first Rolls Royce, I went there with my cousin that I remember all the times we used to talk about, we're going to buy this, we're going to buy this. And that's the feeling. Not that you blow up and you start hanging out with different people. You need to keep the people that were there with you, like, grinding. Like, I want to see the people that knew me as nothing. So when now they see me as something, it's like, you know, you do something, I go to my boy, like, yeah, nigga, I did it, nigga. I told you, man.
Yeah,
Like,
we did it.
you know what I'm saying? And then sometimes when my family members call me, like, it's just crazy. Like, they could be stuck somewhere. It's crazy. They could be stuck in Ireland. And they'd be like, David, I just missed my flight, but I told them that I'm Davido's cousin and she's a big fan. Just show your face. I'll just show my face. New tickets. So I'm like, even people that are far away from me, but they're my blood.
It's funny because last time my mother took a flight, and you know, we have the same name. So
Okay.
one person came to her and said, "Do you want to say hello to the pilots?" She said, "Okay, no problem." And she spent the whole flight with the pilot, just chilling like that. And I was like, okay, I did.
made it.
I did something a little bit, you know.
That's how I feel, like, with success. Like, I just love having the people that were there with me at the beginning still, you know, around. Like, even when I do my shows, backstage at my shows, all the people that's working is basically my family. Like, my cousins do my logistics, like my pampering. My managers, I've known them from when we were kids. You know what I'm saying? My PA has been with me since I was 13 years old. But sometimes you can meet good people like late in your life.
Yeah, sure.
You can know somebody for 30 years and the one time you do something bad, you're the worst person. But I've been blessed to like have good people around me for a long time.
And don't forget, it follows a little bit what you were talking about a bit earlier, but if you think about, if I could stop 1,000 people in the streets right now, and I put all of them in their deathbed, okay? And I tell them, you're gonna age old to 99 years old, you keep your full mental capacities. I'm gonna ask you just one question. You know you have 5 minutes to live, your full brain capacity. Tell me what you wanna say. No one's gonna talk about a business that didn't achieve. No one's gonna talk about a goal they didn't score, a fashion show or brand they didn't get, the X billion or million that they didn't get, or the extra song. 5 minutes to live, if you're a normal human being, the only thing you're gonna talk about is the love. The love that you didn't give enough, or that you received so much, but you're gonna talk about the people that matters to you the most, no matter what it is. And if you keep that in mind, every day, whether you're 31, or, okay, very old 31, okay, whatever, you never forget. Yeah. At the end, as cheesy as that could sound, that's the truth right there. The rest is fun, challenging. Sometimes you get down, you go up.
But it's not the most
always
important.
keep in mind that what's going to matter the most at the end is the connection you make to people that will stay with you sometimes for 5, 10, or 20 plus years. The real treasure in life, that's what it is. And I can talk like this because I'm older than all of you guys.
Not so much.
Yeah.
Not so much. But I think we can finish on it, man. Family over everything, that's it.
Love is everything.
I definitely, you know, received some nice gems from you guys, and definitely you guys too. It was nice. Very
It was nice.
Yeah.
And Davido, don't
Thank you for
forget
having
now,
us.
we know where you live.
Thank you,
And
guys.
stop
and-
pairing with Charmel too.
Yeah, man.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you in the next episode.